How you doing, everybody? I'm Ken Bykoff, and welcome to the Peegs Postgame Live. Indiana pisses away an opportunity to beat Kentucky at Rupp Arena, falling 72 to 60 in a game that this should not have happened. Look, this is an Indiana team that has flaws. We know that, and it's going to live and die with the three-pointer, which is fine. My issue is that this is a team that lacks athleticism, it lacks speed, and it lacks quickness. And when shots aren't going down, you have to be able to replace that with something. And that's something, the easiest thing to replace that with is effort. That is something that you can replace things with. And the Hoosiers didn't show the effort that they needed. And they fall 72 to 60. 812-393-2600 is our number. We got a lot to talk about, a lot of positives to talk about, too, because obviously Fernando Mendoza won a Heisman Trophy as football continues to pick up basketball's slack. But we got to focus on Kentucky IU basketball, return to the rivalry. Which, to be quite honest with you, the rivalry feels different now than it used to, than the last time they played. And I think it's a decade of mediocrity that'll do that when it comes to IU basketball. There is no heat in this rivalry, essentially. And it's because these two teams haven't played in so long. It could get there, again, very quickly. But this also it felt different to me than maybe it has. Indiana was out-hustled, lacked the effort that you want to see. And when you go 4 of 24 from three-point range and you are a three-point shooting team, you damn well better start going to the basket, start going to the free throw line, have those kind of things happen. And that's not what Indiana did get 29 free throw attempts. But by that same token, the lack of anybody who can create their own offense, who can make things happen with the ball in their hands, it's a problem. It's a problem for this team, and it's going to be a problem for this team. A frustrating game to watch. If for no other reason than Indiana, for much of this game, look to be handling things pretty well. They lead 39-32 at halftime. They have themselves a nice lead in the second half. As much in the second half as what was it? As 8 points, I think it was. It was at one point it was 49-42, but they were 8 points and they were up 45-37. And everything fell apart from there. You know, when you have 47 points, or actually 49 points, with 14 minutes and 18 seconds left in this game, and you score 11 points the rest of the way, it's an absolute mess. And I don't want to hear about it just being about not making threes. That isn't it. You know, that's part of it, but that ain't it. You have to go out there and if a ball goes up, you have to want that basketball. No matter what your athleticism is, no matter what your quickness is as a team, effort is the one thing you could always control. And Indiana lacked effort in the second half, especially when Kentucky started rolling, started getting to the bucket. Indiana did not respond in any way, shape, or form. We have our first caller. Caller, have your name, where you're from, and what you got.
Eric from Indianapolis.
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
I watch this game and I'm really, I'm really complacent about how they play. And if they're not going to hit threes, they're not going to beat good teams. And number one, it was a big ask for them to go in Rupp Arena and beat them, but they played well at first, and then it seemed like that the team just like completely fell apart, foul trouble, the whole 9 yards, and this game reminds me. I mean, I'm old enough to know that I remember the year Mike Woodson was a senior at IU, and Mike Woodson hurt his back in the first half at Rep Arena, and IU was ranked #1 in the nation. And I remember that they fell completely apart in the second half, and IU was up by 15 points in the first half, and they fell completely apart. And this game reminds me of that. I mean, this game reminds me, and and I'm a big IU fan. I mean, and I've been following them my whole life. I'm 60 years old, so I'm just letting you know that I know IU basketball. But this particular team, if they're not going to hit 35-40% of their threes in a game, they're not going to be good teams. I mean, they're not going to be good teams. And and it doesn't help when the guys get in foul trouble. And I thought that a lot of fouls were a bunch of BS calls, and obviously that IU went into half winning, and then they started up the second half, kind of weathered the storm, and was doing okay, and then all of a sudden they just completely fell apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but you can't. I mean, people have been crying for 4 or 5 years about 3-point shooting, but you get what you ask for, and I understand you need balance. You need balance, and they don't have the balance. They don't have the big guys, and I mean, they hit enough foul shots. They play, but like just turning the ball over constantly, just like doing stuff that, to be honest with you, it's uncharacteristic of how they play.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. You mentioned the 3-point shooting. You want that 3-point shooting, and you're looking for balance. So do you need the bigs? Yeah, you do. I understand that. But what I think more than anything this team is lacking is bounce off the floor when the ball is in the air. They're missing length, they're missing athleticism, and they're also offensively, when you're not making threes, it feels like the offense stagnates and guys stop moving, and then you also just almost completely lack a guy who can just go to the bucket and get a basket. That's what this team is really missing.
Yeah, but they could have won this game, but
sure.
It was just that there was a stretch from like 12 minutes to 7 minutes where they didn't play well, and they were throwing the ball away. And then look, I'm just saying, if you got one of your top scorers on the bench, and I understand he had 4 fouls, but you got to play him a little bit earlier than that, because he's not going to get his 5th foul. He's not going to get it. He's not going to get it because he is not one of the defensive-minded guy to where he would draw that 5th foul.
Yeah.
So, but you need the offense to spread the floor, and I mean, I'm just like I told you, I mean, I like Tucker DeVries. I mean, I like him, but I told you that he plays lazy. I told you he plays really lazy. He's really slow. He can shoot, but the whole thing is that we need both of them guys on the floor at the same time, and they don't do that, and they can't do that when they get in foul trouble.
Well, what I think is bizarre here is that, this is an offense that at times, especially at home, at times it is incredibly efficient. You see great movement. You see great ball movement. Guys making, setting screens and getting open shots and all of that. And then you have situations like we saw here, we saw at Minnesota, where all of a sudden the ball stops moving, people stop moving, and then you end up, just taking some bad shots and making some bad decisions. It is really, really strange how this team seems to just slow down when shots aren't going.
Well, I mean, but one of the biggest things is that, if you watch them, they're playing on the road,
right?
And I don't think they make enough adjustments to understand that they're not in Assembly Hall, and they're not going to get a crowd behind them to like rejuvenate them, to like, make more great plays on the defensive end, because the defense is where the problem is. and I'm just telling you, the defense, the the interior defense is like atrocious. I mean, and there's no way that a 6'1" guard should get down low. There's no way, and it happens all the time. And then it doesn't help when they call it ticky-tack fouls. And I mean, this is going to be one of them years that, you know, just like I said, I mean, I've told you before, Ken, they're a 18, 19 win team, and maybe squeak into the tournament as an 8 or 9 seed or something like that. But the addressing needs to be done with the beef down low, and people cry about having all them guys down low the way Woody ran that offense, which I never agree with that. I never agree with how he ran the offense. They just didn't have shooters, but they need big guys. You know, they done probably already hit more threes this year than they did the whole last year.
But you need that balance. I agree completely.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a year to where it's going to be head scratches. It's going to be games. Number one is that you can't play like that on the road. Now,
right.
If they play in the semi hall, and if they play in the semi hall and they play like that, I would be way more upset.
Yeah.
But by them being on the road, you can't just play passive, and they play passive. And I'm telling you, and I keep watching it. I watch his demeanor. Tucker DeVries he's a good offensive player. He's like, but he doesn't say, well, this is my team when Wilkerson is on the bench and say, I'm going to do this on my own, or try. You know,
I hear your frustration. I hear your venting. There's a bunch of other people on the line that want to vent as well. But you make great points, and it's frustrating to watch this team not be able to perform at a level that you need them to. But I appreciate the call, and I thank you a lot.
No problem, Ken. Thank you.
All right, take care.
All right, you too.
812-393-2600 is the number. We have our next caller. Caller, if you have your name, where you're from, and what you got.
Hey, Ken, it's Larry, Fort Wayne. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Larry, how you doing?
I'm good. You ready for a poem?
Hell yeah, I am.
All right. Fernando Mendoza, what a name. Hoosier legend, Heisman fame. Touchdowns flying, crowd goes wild. Bloomington cheers like a happy child. Then hoops went south. First Kentucky's crew. Missed calls piled up. The refs, were they new? Whistles silent, patient gone. Still, Mendoza's night shone on. Mendoza wins the Heisman golden bright. Hoosiers rule the football night. Then hoops face Kentucky, joy goes bad. Bad shots, first calls, refs were tragically bad.
Okay, so I first off, great poem. As always, you do a great job with that. I'm going to talk to you about the premise of the poem, because officiating was a lot of ticky-tack stuff. You're playing on the road. You're going to have that. I don't think officiating cost Indiana this game, though. Indiana still shot. Indiana still shot 29 free throws. My issue with this is it is an official situation, and the previous caller complained, and there's plenty to complain about. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that you're not. And I'm not even saying that you are blaming the officials for it. I am appalled by the lack of energy that I saw from this IU team from the 14-minute mark on in the second half. It just was gone.
It was two different teams, right?
Yes.
18 turnovers is uncharacteristic from what we've seen this year. But first half versus second half, we didn't match the energy, to your point, of the Wildcats. And on the road, you have to amplify that. You have to be twice the energy of the home team. And that wasn't there. And that's something that's controllable.
And you get sloppy with it. This is a team that's weird because they are very efficient with the ball sometimes. And then there are times when they're really sloppy. Now, 18 turnovers is a lot for this team. It's not something that they've really done a bunch, but this team has a habit of getting their hands on balls and not grabbing it. Or they are, have the ball and they allow it to get poked away. And even if they don't lose it, the fact that they're so loose with the ball creates opportunities for teams. So you can bet that that's exactly what teams are going to be talking about is you go in there, you dirty it up a little bit. This Indiana team is going to start fumbling the ball away because that's what they've done. And that's how you go into Rupp Arena and you get out rebounded. They get out rebounded 14-8 on the offensive boards. Indiana actually out rebounded Kentucky overall 37-34, but it's on that offensive end that allowed Kentucky to score a lot of points off of second chance points, 18 second chance points for the Wildcats in this one. And it has to do with size, but it also has to do with boxing out, just putting a body on somebody. And the desire.
Right. And that's effort, to your point, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's desire, and it's energy, and it's effort. And that's one thing that just it seems to be lacking, especially away from home.
Yeah, it was one of those nights we hope we get something we can learn from and move forward. I don't know if they were worried about John Cena's last night wrestling or what, but it was hopefully a learning lesson, and I'll hang up. I just wanted to call. As an IU fan, we still have something to celebrate tonight with the Heisman, which has never been done.
And
so
I would
silver
argue
lining, right?
That is the bigger story of the night. There's no question, because in 20 years, you're going to remember IU falling apart in the second half against Kentucky, or was that the night that Fernando Mendoza won the Heisman Trophy? Damn betcha you're going to remember Heisman.
100%, man. Hey, God bless. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Ken.
Thanks a lot. 812-393-2600. And this is exactly it. Indiana led by 7 at halftime, then got almost doubled up in the second half, outscored 40-21, and again, scored just 11 points in the last 14 minutes of the game. And that was as much about Indiana's inability to make a three, inability to get to the basket and make a bucket, and then their lack of speed and athleticism. We got another call. Caller, if you have your name, where you're from, and what you got.
Hey, Ken, it's Kevin from Michigan. How are you doing tonight?
Hey, Kevin, how are you doing? You staying warm?
Oh, yeah. Since it was about 0 degrees today.
There you go.
There you go. I just short and sweet to a couple, 3 or 4 points. Number one, and the officials didn't cost us, but I will tell you what, why does Scott Dolson, whenever we go on the road in non-conference, always acquiesce and let them have their referees? Because when they come into our place, non-conference, they get the referees there too. Kentucky comes to us next year, he better make sure it is Big Ten refs and not SEC refs. When we played Louisville, it was ACC refs. So, and they didn't, there was a lot of tick. They let a lot of stuff go. Didn't cost us the game. Second thing with him is this. If you noticed, in any game we played football-wise, as you were Signetti, when he had a problem with the officials, he let them know about it. And it was not I'll talk to you quietly. He went after them big time. If you remember, I think it was at Oregon when he went out in the middle of the field. I know the official, Chervinsky's from Middleton, at that game, referee, and I saw him in town. And he told me, yeah, by mistake, we looked at the video board and we saw that was pass interference clear. I said, yeah, because he was in your face, 23 yards on the field, and you didn't flag him. And he said, because we screwed up.
Yeah.
Okay, now, what happened after that? 2 things happened. His players knew he's got my back. I'm going to play ball and keep my mouth shut. And you could see that. I have yet to see Darren DeVries protect his players, period. Tonight was a perfect night. He should have gone after them and taken a technical foul and rip them. And you notice, you're right, everything in the second half backed off. I think part of it is his players looking at him saying, what's going on here? And he didn't do anything about it. Nothing. Shame on him, in all honesty. Shame on him. People may not like Bobby Knight, but you and I both know in a game like this tonight, you know where Bobby Knight had been, right? He'd have been out there going after people to let them know he wasn't going to put up with this crap. If Darren DeVries is not going to protect his players, it's going to lead to more problems. It's going to lead to guys getting technicals, and that's on Darren, period. The third thing is this. Putting that aside, officials, right now this team is weak. They're physically weak. They're not strong at all. They get balls knocked out of their hands easily. I mean, easily. Okay? That is on the strength and conditioning people. He's going to have to change his staff and get somebody in there that knows what the hell they're doing, because you can – these guys are weak, and we're not talking about first-year players. We're talking about guys that are – we're one of the oldest teams in the league.
Right, but let me point something out. I don't disagree with you. They are a physically weak team. They are not a strong team. Building those guys takes time, as in years over time. And I ask you, where did these guys come from? What is the roster
that I
built
don't know.
with?
You know.
It's North Florida. It's Davidson. It is Sam Houston State. It is DePaul.
Mm-hmm.
It is Troy. It is Elon. These are the places that the players have come from. So when they go out, you see them go out there. Just because it says Indiana on their chest doesn't mean that they haven't had mid-major experiences to this point. And to me, in some of these games, especially away from home, they play like it.
Well, and I don't disagree with that. But what the Big Ten teams are going to do to us is they're going to beat us up.
Sure.
I mean, there's no doubt about it. They're going to beat us up. They're going to knock us down. They're going to physically abuse us, and we don't have an answer for that. Reed Bailey, I was glad that he got yanked out of the game early tonight. I think Darren has had it with him, and I'm honest. I mean, he doesn't rebound anymore. Did he score anything tonight?
He did not.
I don't think he did tonight.
He played 8 minutes. He grabbed 1 rebound, missed his only shot, had a turnover and 3 fouls in 8 minutes.
Yep, and he wasn't the only one. I mean, but he was an example. So I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know in this group who comes back next year. But you can't get them in the weight room now. But I'll tell you what, as soon as the season's over, they better have their backsides in the weight room, and they better be there about 35 hours a day. Because Louisville physically beat the hell out of us. Minnesota, they beat the hell out of us that night. That's why we lost that game.
Yeah.
And the last thing I would say is this. What I have a problem with, and I agree with what everybody else is saying, is when you're getting physically challenged and you don't respond, you don't step up, I have a problem with that. That's a bothersome thing to me.
Yeah.
You may not be as physically tough as they are, but you can, you can get in their face and, hey, you know what? Get tough. If you get a couple of hard fouls, but take some hard fouls. Send a message back, and we're not seeing any of that. This is the not only the weakest physical team I've ever seen in Indiana, but it's also the least responsive team to physical play. Does it make sense to you?
No, I do. I hear it. I hear it. And
So I'll let you go.
All right. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yep.
Again, when you look at the makeup of the roster, you said, I don't know how many of these guys are going to be back. Enright's a senior. Bailey's a senior. Alexis is a senior. Wilkerson is a senior. Connerway is a senior. DeVries is a senior. The only guy that's in the rotation right now that is not a senior is Nick Dorn, who's a junior, and Trent Sisley, who's a freshman. In other words, this is a roster that was put together, it feels like, to get through this season, and had to be cobbled through. And there are some good things along the way, but it is that is something that is interesting. Appreciate the call. Thank you so much. 812-393-2600 is the number. Next caller, welcome to the show, and thank you. You've been waiting so patiently for 15 minutes. Thank you.
Well, I've been waiting for 15 minutes, but it's been longer than that since Indiana has had success on the basketball court.
It's been a decade, yeah.
It feels like longer than that.
Yeah.
It's at Michael, Southwest Florida.
Yeah.
You got bad news and good news. Bad news is that this is just a roster flaw. This has nothing to do with energy. It's got nothing to do with officiating. This is just all – the team's not that good. We've really got 2 good players only, one of which is slow, the other one of which is just getting used to all this. Nobody that can beat their defender off the dribble, really, other than Wilkerson and Connerway. No height. The entire roster's just incredibly flawed. Alexis isn't bad. Bailey's been a disappointment. You've maybe got 3 to 4 high major players in Wilkerson, DeVries, Connerway at times, and then Alexis the rest of the roster is flawed, although Dorn is starting to show some highlights, and so is Sicily, but they're not quite ready just yet. So all that's bad news. A lot of work to go in the portal this next year. I mean, it's basically going to be an entirely new team next year. Hopefully DeVries has realized these mid-major guys, it's not working. The good news is I'm going to the Rose Bowl.
Oh, good
so
for
that'll
you.
Be fun.
Good for you. You know, looking at this roster and how it was put together and everything that goes along with it, you know, it's the mid-major part of this that it seems that DeVries focused on his assistant coaches and brought in the talent that he had to try to get them through the season. And so you bring in guys that you're piecing together a roster, and there are times when they're very, very efficient, but there are also times when it's just, you know, it's hard to watch because of that lack of athleticism, speed, quickness. And if you don't have the energy when you're out there, any team that has a pile of athletes on it is going to give you a problem, or any team that's physical. And so you have a team that obviously loses at Minnesota and did not look good, and then you throw in the fact that Indiana comes back to Assembly Hall and puts 113 points on Penn State. It's a very different team, home and away.
Yeah, they've shown flashes.
Yeah.
I think that's what's crazy. The season started out really showing some flashes of great. They looked really good against Penn State. Now, granted, Penn State looked horrible too. But this is not a normal Kentucky team. This is a bad Kentucky team. They didn't even look good tonight.
No, they didn't.
It's a bad loss. This should have been if you're going to beat Kentucky at Rupp, this was the year to do it. And it's just you look at it. You know, obviously Branham's going to be good in a couple of years. A couple decent signees for next year, but DeVries is going to have some pressure on himself in the portal this year. He's going to have to really deliver. I mean, he's going to have some pressure to get some players.
It's a program in transition, and that is something that we can't overlook at all. I mean, it's a program in transition. It's completely starting from scratch, and starting from scratch in April when he was hired, and that's the toughest part.
No, he got a late start. Took him a long time to get assistant coaches. You know, also I don't know if he's been at this level to be in those rooms to get the quality of player we need. I think obviously this year will help him in that regard. But we're going to have some games like tonight. There's going to be some rough ones, but if we're hitting, we can play with anybody. Wilkerson's fourth foul just absolutely kills them.
Yeah.
If Wilkerson or DeVries are in trouble, there's just really nobody else that can score.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate the phone call, and it's going to be up and down all season, but, it is what it is. We got to deal with it because Eric Gordon ain't walking through the door. So.
I watched a clip on Instagram this week of Oladipo, maybe his senior year, and you forget how electric he was. It made me realize, oh, man, these guys that are on our team this year, they do not compare to Oladipo.
No, not even a little bit. So,
thanks, Ken.
I appreciate it. He's exactly right. I mean, Indiana didn't get a lot of help from its bench in this one. They didn't get a lot of help from Connor Enright. Never is much of a factor offensively. So it's frustrating. Got another caller. Caller, if you have your name, where you're from, and what you got.
Ken, it's Eric Pankowski.
How's it going, Eric?
It's not going well.
No.
It was going great earlier tonight.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to say.
It was going great.
That's what I was going to say. There is something good, but.
Yes, I had the victory cigar. I call it the Heisman cigar. I hope you get to smoke one soon. That was great. And then it started all right. I was like, you know what? This Kentucky team sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't run anything good. Mark Pope is supposed to be this offensive genius. Their offense looked like diarrhea. They were terrible, terrible. And we went up by 7, went up by 9 at some point.
Yeah.
I was like, we got this game. And then it just all went to the shitter. And apologies for my language. I don't know if we're on adult only here, but I'll try to clean it up.
Hey, we're on the
I
internet.
agree
You can
with
say
you.
whatever the hell you want to, so we're good.
Good. I like what the last caller had to say. This is a roster construction problem more than anything, and it is a singular problem, which is just this team is built to win one way. I should even say compete one way. Hit a lot of threes at a good clip. It's like they've got it. It's not even they can't go 4 for 9, which is a good percentage. They got to go, 10 for 23.
Right.
10 for 25, 12 for 30. Like, they have to shoot a lot and at a good clip. And we knew that going in. But the one thing I want to push back on here is this whole idea that, like, this was a roster put together just to get through this year. Is that what they said at Michigan last year when Dusty May was hired in April?
No, certainly
or
not.
What Mark Pope was hired? When Mark Pope was hired as their X number of choice? Like their 5th choice to hire, or Pat Kelsey was hired as the 7th choice at Louisville? No. Darren DeVries was hired at Indiana to win right away. And you know this because they paid West Virginia, I think, $6 million, $7 million to buy him out of that contract. They committed to Darren a high NIL. They gave Darren between $10 and $12 million to spend on this roster. If this roster isn't good enough to win this year, it's because he didn't buy the right guys. Like, that's the truth. We're paying Lamar Wilkerson over $2 million a year. Or not a year. We're paying him over $2 million this year. We had plenty of money to build a team that should be competitive. I mean, we can't just excuse it away. I like Darren. Everybody I've talked to.
I'm not excusing it away. I'm not excusing it away. My thing is, I think that this was a situation where it was, let's bring these guys in. We're going to try to win. If we could hit a lot of threes, that's the way it's going to do it. But I feel like it was almost like a focus was put on assistant coaches and getting that crew in to give like a foundation. Well, we'll get through this year. I don't know that that's what it went through. But when you're talking about where these guys came from, a lot of times on the road, they play like they are from mid-major programs. And that's where they come from.
I totally agree with your assessment there. When you were listing where they came from, they're small, they're not athletic enough, they're not big enough, they're not long enough. Like, all those things, that's why they were at the places they were at.
Right.
Like, sometimes you find a diamond in the rough. Sometimes there's a Yaxel Lendenborg that just goes crazy. Sometimes it's to the rule, not the rule.
Right.
And the rule is that there's a reason why they're at mid-majors. And these kids play hard. They're playing hard. Connor Enright plays his ass off. He's just not at the level of being able to compete with super athletic guys that are 6'4" that he's trying to guard. But my problem is the roster construction. Because, look, I almost wish that if he realized at a certain point, I'm not going to get the Power 4 top-end guys, then all the money should have been spent on just a bunch of young guys and see if you could – what do you have in those young guys? Overpay for freshmen and sophomores, which we could land because we were the highest bidder for some of these, and we could have been the highest bidder for freshmen and sophomores because they don't make as much money typically. And we could see, like, who could be the guy next year? Because as you were reading off the list, rightfully so, we're going to have to build a whole new team next year.
Yep.
And we have no idea who's going to stay of the guys we haven't seen much of. Ristic and, all these other guys that we haven't even seen.
Yep.
We have no idea if they're going to stay. We have no idea if Darren wants them to stay. But what we do know is that the starting 5 is gone again.
Right.
All gone. Like, all the production with the exception of Dorn, who has shown flashes. But again, you think you'll be able to keep him. You don't know. And we also don't know how consistent he will be.
Yep.
But I just don't understand the roster construction. We talked about it on our podcast a lot as it was happening. It was a team built around one thing. They're going to have to shoot a ton of threes and shoot them well.
Yeah.
And now we see when we don't shoot threes well, we can't compete. And this is a game tonight that we could have won. Kentucky was awful.
Well,
awful. And when we were up by 7, we should have been up by 15.
And that's the thing is you say that we can't compete. You were up by 7 on the road with 14 minutes to go. You have competed to that point. Keep it up. And I don't give a damn if Lamar Wilkerson is, out of the lineup, all that. You have to find other ways to be able to win. And you've got a bunch of veteran guys that have had to win games in a bunch of different ways. For God's sake, play with energy and compete and look inside yourself to go ahead and keep up your energy level.
Okay, but Ken, to your point, you don't have a bunch of guys who have competed and won at a big level. We've got guys from
not at
North
a big
Florida
level, but they've played a lot of basketball, though.
Oh, no, they played a lot of basketball, but most of them have played losing basketball. Lamar Wilkerson didn't win shit at Sam Houston State. Mm-hmm. Elon was terrible. That was it, North Florida, where we got 2 of our guys, was terrible. The only guy that we got that won was Tucker. That was the only guy that was. And by the way,
right.
When we needed big shots tonight, and when we needed big shots against Louisville, and he had some open shots, he didn't hit them.
Yeah.
Like there were key moments where he didn't hit them. But most of our guys are not from winning programs. They're not. They're from programs where they played a lot, but maybe now we're finding out why they were able to play a lot, and we're just stat hunters. And it has nothing to do with effort. They play hard. I have no problem with the effort. They're just not good enough. I do agree with you. What's so infuriating about tonight is we should have won tonight, even with everything that happened. But then you look at a full 40-minute game, and it happened against Louisville, and it happened against Minnesota. In a full 40-minute game, when you end up looking at the stats, if that 3-point number is not a big positive for us compared to the other team, and that's where you get your differential, it is hard to see how this team wins games.
Yeah, because that is the way that they score. They don't do a good job of getting to the bucket. Nobody can create their own offense. Which means that you have to run sets and get guys open. And you look at the way Indiana was running sets against Penn State, and you look at the way that they are running them in the second half against Kentucky today, and the movement was a completely different level, and just the sets that they were running were completely different. In that against this one, and it was athleticism from Kentucky that really created an issue.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think Barkley is like the smartest analyst. I think he's entertaining as hell. But he was right. In the second half, they just beat us up.
Yeah.
They just put the ball on the rim and went and got it. And again, yes, you can talk about rebounding as effort, but we're giving effort. But at a certain point, when you're Tucker DeVries and you're 6'7" and don't have a vertical leap, and you're not that quick or strong, and you're going up against a guy who's 6'10" with a 40-inch vertical leap, you're going to lose that battle if that guy's playing hard too. And Kentucky played hard. They played hard.
And you got to put a body on somebody too.
You do. This one hurts because we were up and we had a chance to really win this game, and then it all went away. And the frustrating thing is I just don't see how this team improves drastically over the course of a year the way you want to see a team do it, unless they just have games where they shoot the lights out like against Penn State.
Well, and I want to see them bring a consistent level of energy away from Assembly Hall, because they play hard. They play hard at times, especially at Assembly Hall. They do, but against Minnesota, against Louisville, this is a theme that is popping up. Depending on when they're not at Assembly Hall, when they're not feeding off of that crowd, I see a difference in their energy level, and it's not a positive.
Well, that's interesting. I can't say I see that. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I don't see a lack of effort on the road or home. I see a lack of the ball going in the basket. I see a lack of athleticism. And look, when another team, there's a reason it's called a home court advantage.
Right.
You do get better calls. You do get adrenaline. Basketball can be a contagious sport when things are rolling well and the crowd is behind you. The rim looks wider than it normally looks.
Right.
But I don't fault the energy. I even think Darren, who seems to be a pretty honest guy, I think it was after the Louisville game. I don't remember who asked him. Maybe it was you. I don't know if it was you, Ken, who asked him. But he even said, I thought our mindset was good coming in, and I thought we played hard. We just didn't execute.
Yeah.
And I just don't think this is a team that can execute other than shooting threes. If they go in, we're going to look good. If they don't, it's like you play fantasy football, Ken, or have you ever?
Oh, of course.
Okay. So I haven't played in a few years, but when I played, it was all about when you're drafting the team, what is my team going to be better than the other team at? What stat, what position am I going to be so much better that that's where my point differential is going to come in and win fantasy football games, right? So in basketball, it is like, okay, are you going to get to the free throw line a ton, like the old Bobby Knight team, shoot more free throws, make more free throws than the other team attempts?
Right.
Is it going to be we're great in the post? Is it going to be we're a great second chance team, second chance points? Are we going to be a great transition team? We are none of those things except three-pointers.
Right.
And if there is no differential in the three-point line between us and the other team, there's no other area for us to make it up because we don't have the talent to do it.
Right. No, I don't disagree with any of that.
It seems pretty simple. And it's upsetting because in a game like tonight, when things weren't really falling for us and we were still up 7, it's just we couldn't sustain it for a 40-minute game.
Yeah.
You know, we just couldn't sustain it. It's really frustrating because I hate Kentucky and I hate everything they're about. And they have a $22 million roster that looked like total diarrhea, and we couldn't beat them.
Yeah, and that is the frustrating thing. But I will say that, again, I thought that early in the game they did just a better job of working to get open shots, have some back cuts that allowed them to score at the rim. And as time went on, that stopped. And I don't know if Kentucky just decided that they wanted to, that they were playing a little bit harder, a little bit quicker, we're trying to anticipate a little bit more, and we didn't adjust. Whatever it was, I felt like Indiana's energy level dropped, especially after Kentucky went on that run and erased Indiana's lead. That, diving for balls and doing all that is great, but it is, if you don't have the size, then you damn well better go put a body on somebody and get them away from the bucket and do what you need to do to get boards. And when you grab them with two hands and grab them strong and play strong. And that isn't something that Indiana did very well tonight at all.
I think that's all fair. I would just ask you, how much of that do you think is we basically play, 7 guys, right? We play 7 guys by we bring Reed Bailey off the bench now, and we bring Sisley and Dorn. So we play 8 guys, but we play most of our guys. We basically play 7 guys most of the game.
Right.
How much of it is just they're tired? Like we don't have depth to spell guys.
Well,
I
sure
and
as
then
hell
at the end of the game.
Because we are 10 games into the season and 11 games into the season, and these guys have all, again, I don't care at the level that they've played at, they've all played, you have a pile of seniors and redshirt seniors and guys that they've been through the grind of a season before. And yeah, you might be playing against tougher teams and all that, but still, you're also 22 years old and very early in the season for you to be getting real tired, especially since Indiana last played, played, what was that, Wednesday? So you had a few days to get to last Tuesday.
I hear you. But when you're starting from an athleticism deficiency and a size deficiency, and you play a 40-minute game against a team that's bigger, stronger, faster, it just, over 40 minutes, it wears on you.
Okay,
and
but then what is the answer to that? If you're lacking athleticism,
there isn't.
Well,
there isn't.
At the very least, you got to control the pace, and so you have to make sure that you have a better shot selection than the other team, which also had a terrible shot selection. You got to make sure that each possession is meaningful.
I agree with that. I think we take some silly threes.
Yep.
I mean, we are so 3 happy. And Darren has given these guys the green light from everywhere. But there are times when a 27-foot 3 on the move is just a turnover.
Right.
It's just a turnover. And I agree with you there. I think I think Tucker's a really smart player. He's got a pretty high basketball IQ. I think Connor Enright's got a high basketball IQ. He's just overmatched physically in every game that he plays, basically.
Yep.
But you've got to be a super smart, efficient team that knows, there's no such thing as a heat check. Heat checks are the most selfish plays in basketball.
Yeah.
They're the most selfish plays in basketball. If it's a good shot, you take it. If it's not a shot you wouldn't take with the game on the line, don't take it.
Yep.
I'm thinking back to Fernando Mendoza in his press conference that was done, about leading up to the Heisman, where he talked about Signetti and how – or no, I'm sorry, it was after the game, after the Ohio State game, where he talked about the genius of Signetti is that every play is the game on the line.
Right.
Every play. That's how you have to treat it. And heat checks and some of the threes that we take are clearly not us valuing a possession.
Yeah.
They're not. And so I agree with you. I think that's a great point, that if you don't have the athleticism and you don't have the size and the strength and the depth, every possession matters. And we do not value the possessions offensively the way we should. I agree with that.
I agree
I
completely.
totally agree.
Yeah.
All right. Ken, good talking to you. I needed to get something off my chest after watching that. I was infuriated. So thank you for Misery Loves Company tonight.
Hey, happy to be a therapist. Appreciate it, Eric.
Are you coming to the Rose Bowl?
I don't believe I am, no. But you guys are going to have a great time.
We're going to have fun. And for anybody listening, we are going to, if you're coming, we're going to do an event. We're going to announce it on Monday. We're partnering up with Peegs. Going to do an event in Pasadena on New Year's Eve, the morning and afternoon. Details to follow.
Fantastic. I appreciate it. Looking forward to it.
Take care.
Thanks. Take care. It's Eric Pankowski from the Hoosier Hysterics podcast. That he's always got a ton of thoughts and a ton of fun to talk to, and is a smart guy when it comes to basketball too. Appreciate him calling in. Got another caller here. Caller, if you have your name, where you're from, and what you got.
Hey, this is Joey from Huntington, Ken. Good and bad tonight. Good and bad tonight, right?
That is the theme of the night. Yes.
So just was calling in, thinking along the lines of a coach here. You know, I think there's some things that Eric just said. Obviously, he took up a lot of time on the line. I think there's some things he said that in that much time on the phone that obviously everybody has to agree with, right? We're not the most deep team. We're not the most physical team. We rely heavily on the three. But I wanted to just give a couple of counterpoints as well, where maybe some things that, you know, I get Eric's emotional, but a little bit of a negative tone to Eric's call that I would throw a couple things to him. So first of all, you know, I've been listening to Eric bitch about our roster construction for years. And the reality is he also mentioned that players that are playing at mid-majors, if they actually transition to the major conferences, Power 5, they're a diamond in the rough. Well, I would also argue that Coach Signetti is a diamond in the rough to turn things around as quick as he did. I think we've got to be a little patient here. I mean, yes, I understand Coach DeVries had a lot of money at his disposal, but we fired everybody. We fired Calbert Chaney. We fired Jordan Hulls. And with the nature of college basketball today, you don't have 4 years to recruit a guy. You have 4 weeks to recruit a guy. You get what you can get, even with all the money and the deep pockets we have.
Yeah.
So, you know, yes, is roster construction perfect? No. Is roster construction ever going to be perfect? No. If we called Todd Golden right now, would roster construction be perfect? Probably not. If we called, you know, Tommy Lloyd, is his roster construction perfect? No, it's pretty damn good, but it's not perfect. Like, yeah, Dusty May's done a great job, but maybe Dusty May is the diamond in the rough. Maybe he's in the minority. Like, maybe we have a really good coach, but we can't expect a perfect roster construction right away. So that's my first kind of like, hey, I've heard Eric say this for years now, and Woodson's rosters were not great, and his style wasn't great. I think the style is better. I think these guys compete harder, and so even if the roster's not perfect, I'm going to give them some credit for that.
Well, and here's the thing on it is, as he was going through this process of building this roster, there are a couple of things that are in play as far as I'm concerned. His focus was being sure to get the assistant coaches that he wanted here, to get them here. And then you have players who are deciding, well, where do I want to go? And yeah, dollar signs are important. It's not that like they aren't. But who am I going to be playing with? What are the other players? Who are they going to be?
Yep.
You know, will I fit with them? How will that work? Well, it's taking longer. Who's going to be my assistant coaches? Well, screw it. I'll go to where I already know where things are. So
yeah, we had a lot of unknowns.
I feel like it was, let's set that foundation of assistant coaches and set the foundation of a program, and then we could bring in a bunch of guys that are older who have played, who hopefully will be able to pick up on things quickly. Well, I build my recruiting base here in the state of Indiana, as I build everything that goes along with IU basketball, show them how we play, and then throw that in with the resources. To me, This is, again, a team in transition, a program in transition.
Yep.
And so being able to, you have a lot of money at your disposal. Let's shoot a lot of threes, but this is how we have to win this year as we build for the future. I am willing to go ahead and concede that may be part of this equation.
Yeah, and I think Signetti was a little different in that he brought all of his JMU players with him, where, and this is maybe the one knock I have on Coach DeVries, is if you look at a roster, there's not one player from West Virginia that said, man, I'm going to follow that guy. Again, that's not necessarily a blatant knock on Coach DeVries, but, a lot of times when coaches move, players follow.
Right.
I guess I suppose you could, if you don't count Tucker, there's not a player from West Virginia, which
and Connor Enright. Connor Enright played for Tucker at Drake.
Okay, fair enough there as well. So that's my first point, is I don't think we can expect a Coach Signetti situation right away here, because I think Coach Signetti, to Eric's point, is the diamond in the rough. And again, I think roster construction is never going to be perfect.
Nobody gets Kurt Signetti. So that's a tough comparison. I mean, all we have is that a guy that has had the most successful 2 years in rebuilding a program from nothing in the history of college football. So I mean that one is.
Well, again, there's 350 college teams, and there's one coach of the year, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So then my second point, to kind of contradict Eric, is this idea of our identity is shooting threes. I'm going to go back and think about things that the Hoosier Hysterics have said over the years, right? Archie Miller's teams, they were supposed to have pack line defense as their identity. Well, they ended up having no identity because they weren't good offensively and they weren't good defensively, and they just felt like they threw straws at stuff every single year. Mike Woodson's teams, I'm not sure they necessarily had a true identity, but if they had an identity, it was, we're going to play two bigs, which is a terrible identity, and we're going to pump the ball inside and not have a very fun offense.
Right.
I don't know if living and dying by the three is an identity that is the best strategy in the world always, but if I do my math, three is worth more than two, and if you look at the metrics of college basketball, three-point shooting teams win a lot. It's not the worst identity in the world to have necessarily. So I get it. We didn't hit shots tonight. I think the ball didn't move tonight. If you look to our assist to turnover ratio, we are at our best when the ball moves. The games where we have a lot of assists on field goals are great. That didn't happen tonight. And so, I'm going to challenge Eric a little bit on the identity. Like, there are worse identities to have than being a three-point shooting team. And we've also been a team in recent years that had no freaking identity.
No, and my thing, too, is that being a three-point shooting team is an identity, and it could be a fine identity. The issue is you need to be able to balance that then with having one or two guys that can create off the bounce when they need to. You don't need a guy who's hunting shots, but certainly you have to be able to create off the bounce, and then you need a little bit of size inside that's going to be able to rebound the ball when you miss it. And so that, to me, is something that is missing this year, is that athleticism, that guy, that Devontae Green type who could take the ball and go to the bucket and get a basket, or a Jalen Hood-Schifino, which is obviously an NBA lottery pick. I understand that, but just somebody who can create their own offense, that is missing. And then you are missing the Omar Ballo or the Malik Renew, who could get the rebound and score off a putback. That balance is what is missing.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth, right? The example, I mean, I think I could do the same thing as you can, right? The shining star example of that to me was Zach Edey, right? Mm-hmm. Zach Edey freed up his shooters like an absolute beast. I mean, it might have been one of the most underrated things that he was able to do, because you had to pay so much attention to him underneath. That's certainly going to leave somebody open outside. And if you have a big who's a good passer, then that's going to open up some things. And I think we don't have that right now. I mean, I've been critical every single week with Reed Bailey. And, again, I saw somebody in the chat say, he's not rebounding enough. And somebody said he wasn't built for rebounds. I look at that and go, if you're 6'10", you're built to rebound. I don't care if you're a stretch four. I don't care if you're thin. Like, you have a height advantage over, most people on the floor. you should be averaging more than 3 or 4 rebounds a game, whatever Bailey is averaging. And so, yeah, we don't have that post presence that is intimidating, that people have to key on, that then frees up shooters. And then to your point, I think the phrase I would use is, I don't think we have a game breaker. Tatum Connerway maybe can be a game breaker, but I don't think we have a game breaker. A guy who can just, like you said, get to the basket, athletic, maybe even just say can mess things up. I think Devontae was a good choice. I think Troy Williams was a great choice, right? At his best, right. Troy Williams was awesome. At his worst, I cussed Troy Williams to death. We don't have that guy in any way, shape, or form. And,
right.
and Connerway has streaks of it, but I'm not sure he's completely there.
Yeah, no, I agree with that completely. There are times when he can get to the basket. He, to his credit, he doesn't hunt shots, even though he's one of the guys that is quick enough to be able to do that. But it is an unselfish team, almost to a fault sometimes, especially in a game like this. My bigger issue was how sloppy they were with the ball, how the movement stopped, when that lead started getting away, and that's really frustrating. Yep.
Well, Ken, I asked you last time, just to have a little fun after a night like this, I asked you last time if we had a Hoosiers victory, if you were going to drink some double oaked tonight. Do you drown some sorrows in some double oak tonight still, or is that just an every night type of thing? What happens tonight for you?
Tonight, nothing happens tonight. This is not going to get into anything tonight. I sat in my garage earlier today with my wife and just had the door to the garage open, and we watched the snow fall because it's snowing like hell here in Bloomington. Watched the snow fall a little bit, and I had we had some coffee with a little bit of Bailey's in it, and then I had a Guinness, and that was good enough for today. So.
All right. Well, I was about 5 Mick Ultras during the game, and that was enough for me. And I think I'm going to have to turn in early tonight, too. I might be up plowing some snow early in the morning.
I don't drink right before I'm going to go on the air. That's just has always been my rule. That way, if I say anything stupid, then I can't even say, well, I shouldn't have had those drinks. I know that if I'm an idiot, it is pure Ken Bykoff being a jackass.
Yeah, the professionalism of this show is unmatched, Ken. Let me just tell you, okay?
Oh, yeah.
When you tell Eric that he can say whatever he wants to on the internet, you better be careful. You might have some F-bombs coming your way, Ken.
The fact that I haven't been angry enough to drop some myself, we're on the internet, piss on it, so.
Well, Ken, I appreciate the time. I appreciate you taking my call, and have a good evening.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yep. Bye.
812-393-2600 is the number. We now will go ahead and pivot. We finally got through all of our calls, which I just love all the phone calls so very, very much. And, I haven't even really talked about Fernando Mendoza winning the Heisman Trophy today. All the focus is on basketball right now, which that's fine. It should be. We have plenty of time to talk about Fernando. But right now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring you head coach Darren DeVries during his post-game press conference. Looks like he's with Tucker DeVries as well during this. So without any further ado, here is Tucker and Darren during their post-game press conference.
Okay, remember, if you've got questions, please hold your hand up and we will get the wireless microphone to you right now.
I guess, Darren, sort of another night where it feels like it just kind of gets difficult to really break down an opponent off the dribble, kind of get that inside out sort of paint touch to 3 looks you want. Just like what, I guess, are you guys, what's not happening there? What's just kind of sort of failing at the source offensively when that's not working?
Yeah, I thought the first half, we got some pretty good action, pretty good movement. I thought the second half, Kentucky, certainly turned up the pressure and was able to get into us, and we didn't respond well enough. We, turned the ball over too much, and live ball turnovers against them are really hard because now they're out in transition playing in space. So the turnovers and the offensive rebounding, that flipped the game around that second half.
Yeah, for both of you guys, that stretch there, 5 turnovers, I think it was 5 or 6 possessions, and they had a bunch of putbacks. What was the problem there? Why so many turnovers in a short stretch did you feel, and why did you guys struggle to keep them off the boards?
Yeah, I thought the turnovers, it was a combination of things. I thought, we left our feet a few times. I thought we just, got on our heels a little bit and didn't play as disciplined as we needed to. As that, the crowd got cranked up and things. That's the time where you got to really dig in a little bit more. Your screen's got to be better. You got to play off of 2 feet more. And then the offensive rebounds, they just went and got them, and we didn't do a good enough job of creating space and getting bodies and going and securing the ball.
Coach, what do you think you need to improve on, and this team needs to improve on against ball pressure at the point of attack?
Yeah, the number one thing when you get ball pressure is everything from an execution standpoint and a movement standpoint. It's just got to be done with more force. You can't continue to just get pushed out and everybody stands. So you have to find ways to give yourself up with a back cut, give yourself up with a screen, set up those screens with more force, and get some movement. Even as they gotten ahead and we started to break it off a little bit. Once we got movement again, we were able to get those clean looks or better looks. So it's something we got to get better at. There's no question.
Third brother, Daniel.
Tucker, your individual line tonight was really great. I mean, your effort was fantastic. 15.7 rebounds. A lot of the 3-point shots tonight didn't go down like they normally do for the Hoosiers. What do you think that is? Was it just not seeing the basket as well? Was it the defense? Was it not in the offense where you were getting clean looks?
To be honest, making and missing shots, I thought tonight honestly wasn't our problem. I know certainly I did not shoot it great. It looks as a team we didn't shoot that great well either from 3, but even with that being said, I think there were certainly areas that we needed to be a lot better at as a group, and if we were able to, especially in the second half, execute in those areas, I think that would have made up for some of those shooting habits and miscues, but making a missing shot sometimes is basketball. But I thought in the other areas, if we can just execute there a little bit more, that would save a lot.
Daniel, then Josh.
On that, I guess if shots maybe weren't the problem, what kind of was, do you think?
I mean, he hit on it pretty good. The turnovers and obviously the offensive rebounds they had, especially in the second half. I mean, I take full responsibility for both of those areas. Obviously, 4 turnovers is far too many. And as a group, I think when they pick up the pressure, I think we just need to really focus on our execution a little bit more. On every possession. But that's something. The good thing is we get a good week here before we play again to really dial in on some of those areas that we've maybe lacked in the beginning of the season.
Josh and Trevor.
Coach, I think it was -9 when Lamar went off the floor with that 4th foul. What went wrong offensively in that span that got Kentucky back in the game?
Yeah, I don't remember the exact sequences there, but not having Lamar out there is certainly a big part of our offense, and his foul trouble tonight certainly limited him with only 21 minutes because he's a big focal piece of what we try to run our offense through. So I believe during that little stretch that he wasn't out there, that's when the turnovers started to happen, and we weren't able to get into maybe as some of the actions the way we needed to.
Trevor, and then in the back.
Darren, you mentioned Kentucky's offensive rebound and kind of flipping that game. Was that just their physicality, their effort out feeding you guys, or something else that you saw going on?
Yeah, I thought their effort, their physicality, second half was really good. I mean, they certainly cranked it up a notch in that second half, and we needed to respond to it. But I thought their aggressiveness. Defensively, their aggressiveness, the offensive glass was ultimately the factor.
Back row, then Zach.
Darren, you mentioned Lamar, but how much did the foul trouble for not just him but other guys affect you tonight?
I mean, foul trouble is foul trouble. You have it every night, so it's you got to figure out a way to deal with it. And we just didn't do a good enough job with it.
Last question here, Zach.
I guess just to follow up on that with this team, and you've talked about sort of where you are with the 2 bigs and things like that. Like, does foul trouble become sort of a compounding problem when it disrupts rotations? It felt tonight like maybe guys were just not either on the floor long enough to find a rhythm, or maybe had to be on the floor too long because other guys were in foul trouble.
Again, our guys, their numbers are called, they're ready to go. You certainly a guy like Lamar, you want him out there, but when he's not out there, I feel very confident that the guys that are coming in are going to do their part and do their job, and we certainly have a lot of faith in them. So, unfortunately, it just didn't work out the way we wanted to tonight.
Thanks, guys.
So there's Darren DeVries and Tucker DeVries, and what they had to say about the game. Again, I know that Indiana was in foul trouble. Indiana also reached a lot on defense because got beat to the spot because they weren't quick enough. And that is something that, again, is going to continue to happen because you're not improving your quickness and athleticism in season. That's not happening. So you better improve in other areas to avoid those issues. The other thing is the turnovers. 18 turnovers for the Hoosiers, including 12 in the second half alone. Way too much, way too sloppy with the ball. And again, this has been an efficient team for the most part to this point in the season. And today that just absolutely disappeared. You had just 15 made field goals, 8 assists on the night. You had 30 in the last game. Now you're making shots, and I understand that. I get that. Can't have assists if you don't make buckets. But you had 18 turnovers versus 8 assists. That is a real bad percentage. But it's not as if Kentucky was killing it either. Kentucky just 3 of 15 from 3-point range, but they only turned the ball over 4 times. That makes a huge difference. They shot 38 free throws too. Indiana shot 29. Those are both some pretty high numbers, and Kentucky was going to the bucket in a way that Indiana wasn't. Going through some of these, the individual stats, Tucker DeVries, 15 points on 4 of 13 shooting, 1 of 9 from 3-point range. He had 7 rebounds and 3 assists, but he had 4 turnovers, played 35 minutes. He had a block and a steal, and he fouled out. That 1 of 9 is tough to hang on because he's played a lot of basketball. He's played a lot of high-level basketball. And that's a rough number. You're going to have a bad shooting number. Lamar Wilkerson, 15 points on 5 of 11 shooting, 2 of 5 from 3-point range, 2 rebounds, a turnover in 22 minutes. Foul trouble kept him out of the lineup. Sam Alexis, let's hear it for the fact that Sam Alexis played 30 minutes in this game because that was a real concern early in the game when he went down and his leg bent backwards, kind of hyperextended that knee a little bit, that he escaped any kind of serious injury with that because that was really, really close. 6 points on 3 of 4 shooting. He had 5 rebounds and an assist, but he did have 3 turnovers and had 2 blocks. Connor Enright, scoreless, but he had 5 rebounds and an assist in 30 minutes. He was minus 13 on the day. Tayton Connerway, 11 points, 3 of 6 shooting, 1 of 3 from 3-point range. He adds a rebound, only 1 assist versus 4 turnovers in 24 minutes. He had the only starter that didn't have foul trouble was him. Off the bench, you got 7 points from Nick Dorn, all of those from the free throw line. Otherwise, he went 0 for 3, including 0 for 3 from 3-point range, 5 rebounds, 2 turnovers. Trent Sisley, 6 points, all of those from the free throw line. 6 points, missed all 3 of his shots, 0 of 2 from the line, 0 of 2 from 3-point range, had 7 rebounds, an assist, and a turnover in 26 minutes. Ristich played some garbage time, so did Stevens. Reed Bailey, 8 minutes, held scoreless, 0 of 1 from the field, 1 rebound, had 3 fouls, and a turnover. You can't have one of your bigs only play 8 minutes. You just can't. But Reed Bailey was not up for the task today. So if you look at Indiana off the bench, Indiana goes 0 of 7 from the field off the bench total, 0 of 5 from 3-point range, but they were 13 of 13 off the bench from the free throw line. And so all the production had to come from just a couple of guys. Most of the minutes came from those starters. And again, the starters, this is what we're going to have to do. This is what we're going to have to deal with. Lack of athleticism, a lack of quickness, speed, You got to find other ways to win. And that means playing with lots of energy, playing with lots of sets with a lot of quick cuts, things like that. And that isn't something that we've had. Seth on the chat says 42 points from UK's bench, 13 from us. Yeah, absolutely. That's a big difference in this game. So was UK's 23 points off of turnovers versus our 6, because we turned the ball over 18 times. Well, I say we. Indiana. I didn't turn the ball over once because they won't let me play, nor should they. Frustrating because Indiana had opportunities in this game and could have taken care of business, and they didn't. They didn't. Phil Donahue official. I don't think that's Phil Donahue. I may not renew my season tickets. I'm so sick of this. Can we get at least 3 starters from Indiana that actually understand the game? I've never cared where the players are from. I just would, so they don't have to be from Indiana. But this whole idea that I'm so sick of this, I'm sick of this. I don't know if I'm going to renew my season tickets. Here's the thing, folks. Indiana basketball has not been very good for the past 8 years. Hasn't been consistently good you're talking about stacking a couple of years together. Tom Crean did that. But for the most part, this has been a real struggle for Indiana for the past 8 years and for most of the past 20, to be honest with you. There have been moments. And so we're early in the season. Well, I say that, but we are a third of the way through the season, so it's not that early. By that same token, you just have a team that is going to live and die by the 3. There's a lot to fix with this team. Getting back home for the next 3 games will certainly help get this team back on track. We've seen that they can be very effective when they are running their offense with energy and knocking down shots and doing all that. 113 points against Penn State. 86 points at home against Kansas State. But then you go on the road, or you play in Louisville, or play in Indianapolis against a team with a bunch of athletes, and it's not as pretty. 72-60 is the final score at Kentucky. Indiana's next time out will be a week from now. Take on Chicago State. Then they have Siena a couple of days before Christmas, and then they're off again. So between now, it's December 13th and January 4th. How many days is that? Let's ask Google. How many days until January 4th? 22 days. That's 3 weeks. 22 days. Indiana will play 2 games against Chicago State and Siena. So if they're tired, this is your time to get back. Get those legs ready. And there's plenty of time to work on things, too. How do you overcome the issues with athleticism? How do you overcome that lack of quickness? How do you make sure that you are able to generate offense if shots aren't falling? All of that is what's going to come into play on this. Before we wrap this up, I wanted to once again congratulate Fernando Mendoza on winning the Heisman Trophy. It is what a year this has been. What a bizarro world situation where Indiana football is the #1 team in the country, has a 2-time National Coach of the Year, back-to-back National Coach of the Year. They are undefeated. They are headed to the Rose Bowl as the #1 seed in the college football playoff, and they have a quarterback who is won AP Player of the Year, the Heisman Trophy, the all the major awards he's collecting. And the best part about this, I don't know if you guys have seen this yet, but there's some video from the post Heisman Trophy ceremony press conference where a whole pile of IU players was in that conference room to surprise Fernando and celebrate with him. That's incredible. Teammates hopping on planes and going to New York. Obviously, NIL makes that a lot easier these days than it used to be, but good God. You want to talk about a team that's tight, a team that really is come together like a group of brothers. That's it. This is it. It's special. And to see Fernando out there and accept the Heisman Trophy, think about how big that is for Indiana. First off, back-to-back years with Curt Cignetti. They've been in the college football playoff. The second year is better than the first. They get to number one, and now Cignetti can talk to people in the transfer portal, talk to recruits and say, you know what? We win Heisman trophies here. We go to the college football playoffs regularly. We're the number one team in the country. Why wouldn't you want to come here? Adding this extra stuff with Fernando Mendoza is massive, especially since Fernando comes on the heels of Curtis Rourke. Curtis Rourke was obviously extremely successful last year, despite playing with a knee injury that we didn't know about. And he's with the San Francisco 49ers right now. That's who was the quarterback last year. Mendoza took that and went to the next level with it. He's probably going to the NFL. Nobody would be surprised at that. I don't think anybody expects him back. But I'll say this. The next guy, whoever that next guy may be, there is a lot that Indiana is going to be able to sell to so many players, and they have the hardware to prove it. You have to take my word for it anymore. You don't have to Google me. What is that?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
Yeah. And your players win major awards, too. Ken, Fernando Mendoza is a redshirt junior. He could come back. He probably ain't gonna. Because some people list him as the number one overall pick in the NFL draft. Get the hell out of here, kid. Go make your money. You've proven everything you can. But it was just really surreal to see him win the Heisman Trophy. And folks, let people from Ohio State or Notre Dame or wherever else, Vanderbilt, let the folks in the SEC, let them bitch up a storm. They ain't changing a damn thing. Indiana is what Indiana is, and they were, Fernando Mendoza is your Heisman Trophy winner. Congratulations to Fernando. There's a lot more football left to be played this year, and you get a little bit of time to rest. So it's really great to enjoy all of that. Indiana now gets a little bit of time to rest as well on the basketball court. They don't play for a week following a 72-60 loss at Kentucky. It's an opportunity missed, but it's not the end of the season. Want to get some momentum going, and there is time. We all want to see better. And that starts with Darren DeVries. 72-60 on the road to Kentucky is not what he's shooting for. We'll see where the program goes from here. So a lot of questions, tons to go. It's going to be fascinating. I could say that much. Well, that's all the time we have on the Peegs Postgame Live. I want to thank you for listening. I want to remind you to visit Peegs.com for the very best in IU football and basketball coverage you're going to find anywhere. Nobody covers Hoosier recruiting better than Jeff Rabjohns, Matt Weaver, Trevor Andershock, and Jared Kelly. So come be a part of a thriving and exciting community at Peegs.com. Folks, you are not going to be disappointed. Folks, we're out of time, but for now, and for Jeff, Matt, Trevor, and Jared, I'm Ken Bykoff saying thanks for listening, everybody.